Okay, we're good.
Okay, so these are called tow bar tabs. They're to be removed normally when you're not using the car for long periods of time. You normally put a bag and put all this stuff in it. This is called all this stuff. And they go in horizontally. If you try to put them in vertical, they don't go in all the way. And you will lose your car. Okay, clear on that? So they go in horizontally. When they go in horizontally, they'll push the pin automatically here or here, and you turn them 90 degrees. And you make sure they're in.
Or if you just pull the pin out, pull back.
You don't need to pull the pin out to do the installation.
I can do that.
It's more about just, you got to get them in horizontally where they're lined up. If you don't, they're not going to go in. The pin has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. So it's because this T thing is lining up with the hole in the back. It's lining up with the slot in the back. Lock it, lock it. Please do that correctly. There's no left or right, they're both the same. This is your hookup for your wiring
Doesn't
connection.
matter if this is up or down.
No, but okay, good question. In the old days, that ring used to be larger, and the ear would distort it when the ring was on top. So I have been doing it this way for 30 years. And it's hard to retrain an old dog.
Okay.
Okay? It keeps the rings down out of the way, but you can do whatever you want. They don't have their smaller rings now; they're not effective. There's a place for your safety cables to hook onto. There's a place for your air connection to hook onto. There's a place for your wiring connection and a place for your breakaway switch. Pulling this out puts the brakes on the car. Do not leave this out. Do not pull this out unless you want to test it. It's designed to stay in the car. If you pull this out, you cannot drive the car. The last guy that I did with an air brake system like this didn't listen to me, and he pulled the whole thing out when he unhooked, and he could not drive the car. He called me up panicked. I said, "Did you pull the little pin out of the front of the car?" And he said, "Yes, I did." Put that back in, and I just shot the cap. That's all right. Of course, some little cup. I'll get that before we. Don't panic. Okay, this is another cover that goes on that particular air fitting. You will get both of them in just a little bit. Okay. The tow bar stores on this side or on this side of the coach. I don't care. It's done by the fact that these ears up here are hooking into these holes here. Okay, so these ears have to be up. You could slide the tow bar in and have the ears on the bottom, and you wouldn't have a way to hold the tow bar out. Okay?
So it's heavy enough.
You know, you can drive down the road with the tow bar like that. No. Okay? The tow bar is stiff when it's new. It's not always going to be like that. The tow bar has some grommets in here. They call them magnetic locks. Only on one model do they use a magnetic lock. All the rest of them use grommets. And the grommets are designed to lock in that tow bar primarily for the shipping box that came in. If this was to slide out while your tow bar was stored on the back of the motorhome and slid out, who cares? Doesn't hurt anything. Don't replace this part if that grommet wears out. Not important. The cover will keep it covered and keep the tow bar contained. Okay, the tow bar, when you extend the tow bar out, this is called the hooking up condition, and this is called the, watch the handle, towing condition. That locks the arm. The arm is no longer telescopic. They both must...
You pull it out just a little further.
Yep. They both must be locked before you tow your car. Not while you're hooking up, not while you're maneuvering in the parking lot, the campground, wherever, in front of your house. When you actually hit the road, I want these locked. Because these keep the car at bay away from the motorhome, and they keep the car from contacting the motorhome when you turn out driveways.
Okay, so when you just pull that out. So if you start pulling the car, when it automatically...
We'll cover all, you're getting ahead of yourself. No, I'll go farther. I'll cover all your details with you. So, we're just showing you how the function the tow bar is, and that's called the towing condition. Okay. We will get them both locked. I'll show you how to do all that in a minute. The important thing to understand is they both must be locked before you tow. if you had one side locked and one side not locked, and let's just say this was the side that was not locked, and you made a hard left-hand turn, the arm that's not locked can telescope in, and the car and the motorhome can talk to each other in a foreign language. And it's not a very good conversation. Okay? So, keep them in. That means the car and the motorhome will contact each other. Bring the tow bar down. If you notice, and this is all stiff when it's new, there are some stickers that say up. The bolt head is on top. The handle's on top. The blue ox is on readable, okay? When you bring it down, you usually have one person at a time doing this, because if you do two people doing it, because they both want to learn, I always get the tow bar extended slightly before I bring it over to the car, because if not, I pull it out hard and I wing myself on that metal bracket, and that red fluid runs out of your finger and your day starts out in a little bit different attitude. Those are called the common sense side of the pin. I put them in from the inside out on this car because the safety cables are here. If your cable attachment point was on the outside, I put them the other way. That's me. This is the special clip. This is very important to you. This is the part that you can lose your car. Okay? When you get these, they have a little plastic tag on them. They're in your instructions in here. Clear plastic 2x4 inch tag approximately. When you open them, they naturally open about 160 degrees. Don't quote me on that. When you close them, they snap down very firmly. Very cleanly done. If you open them and you don't think clear and you fold them the wrong way, they fail to close and you lose your car. Clear on that? Okay. So always the smooth side, 160 degree side, they snap back together.
Okay.
Put it in the hole, snap it down. Not hard to do, easy to screw up. Bring it over here, same thing. Bring the tow bar out, it's gonna be stiff. Bring this out first before you wing yourself here. Bring it to where the bolt head is on top. Sticker says up. Pin out. I use my leg to push it over. Why? Because I can. Bring it from the inside out on your application because the safety cables are here. It's 160 degrees. Fold it down. All those are approximate dimensions and discussions. Both arms are not locked right now because they're not fully extended, and that's okay. And the handles are going to look the same when they are unlocked and when they are locked. You cannot tell the difference between them. The only real difference you'll know is if you took a tape measure out and you measured and they're both the same. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to back the car up slowly. And if it's a good coffee day, you might lock them both. If it's a bad morning, you might only lock one. It's a game. Do not fight. No marriage fights over this. You back it up slowly. One side locks, it's okay. If somebody's out here observing this and has the knowledge to see that both handles lock or only one lock, great. We're always going to back the car up slowly so we set the length on the cabling. If not, if you were to take off, one would lock probably right away. The other one may not lock. And depending upon the way you turn your coach, it may be detrimental to your vehicle. So make sure that you lock both before you tow, and there's some steps we're going to take to do that. When you walk over the tow bar, be careful, like I did. Be careful because your shoelaces will hang up on these things and your front teeth will fall out. Okay? So be careful. Walk over. Now your car is actually a very light car in nature compared to big Suburban or big Tahoe. We can just push it back. We're just going to go real easy to break off. We're just going to go real easy. You watch the tow bar. Okay, one tried to lock and the other one did lock. You saw that. One almost locked, the second one almost locked, which is the one closest to you. It started to go down. You can see that. And if I push back a little bit, you'll see it's trying to lock.
So this one locked.
Yeah. This one over here locked. I
Oh.
saw it lock.
Right.
And this one here did not lock. And it's about an inch shorter. Okay? It's hard to visually tell that last inch. But that's when the locking occurs, is at the last inch,
Right.
approximately. So I know this side did not lock, and I know this side locked because I was watching it from over here. Normally I wouldn't advise you just to push your car, but your car's small enough and we're in the right angles right here, that's not a problem. Otherwise you hop in the car and you back it up slowly. And you only go back until one side locks. Do not give it more gas and try to lock the other side. It's not going to lock, more than likely. As you do this, you're extending it out and locking the safe side, easy side, the longest side. And if you had to get coffee, you might lock them both. You do not have to push the handles down and go forward and do it a second time. You just have to understand that we're going to need to lock the second side. And the way to do that is to turn the wheel to the side that's not locked. Okay? So as we drive the motorhome forward about a foot, this side's going to stretch right away and lock every time. It will become an automatic function. You won't have to even get out and look. First couple times, make sure they're both locked until you get used to it. But turn the wheel to the side that's not locked or that you presume is not locked.
Okay.
I don't need you to get a board and tape measure and figure it out. If you're one of those people, go ahead and do that. I can tell visually that this is not the lock side, and I saw that that's the side that locked when I packed it up. Okay? Again, watch walking over the vehicles. The next thing we're going to hook up is the safety cables. You just grab a hold of this for example. I want to show you something. Stand up. Sorry, stand up. Go ahead and pull those out. Now, understand one of these things. This is like an exercise tool, okay? Except for it's got something very dangerous on the end. And I promise you, if you let go of this cable while you're hooking it up, you will find a very tender spot along the side of your face to contact you. Do not let go of these cables when you're hooking them up. They will hurt you, okay? When everybody wants to put a cable on, they always want to do this. It's just human nature. On the motorhome side, I do it like this. Why? So I can see how to get them off. Now you can do it like this all you want, and you can work on trying to get them off all you want. I just do it what's most comfortable for me, which is do it like this on the motorhome, which is harder to see. You're around a locking pin, it's tucked in. Out here in the open, it's not so bad, but under there, it's much harder. Okay? So I just snap them on like that, especially because this one's gonna be a little tight to get in. Ooh, it's really tight. Yeah, you're gonna get your mouth just right to get them in. So that's another reason why you may want to do it like I said. You gotta turn it sideways a little bit to get it come out. Okay.
Is it locked?
Yeah, they're locked.
Okay.
You crisscross them, and now I have a customer who's in the CHP, and they did not tell me they were in the CHP, and that's fine. The lady was a very interesting character, to say the least, and I will leave it at that. Very colorful vocabulary. I don't particularly know you, ma'am, and she said some things that made me blush. And her husband's standing right there. And I didn't know she was going to say that to me. Okay? And we'll leave it at that. But anyway, I said, I don't care what the CHP says, is what the reason I'm bringing this up, is because the law was written that cables and chains go underneath the towing apparatus so that if the ball comes off, it catches the tow bar coming down. It's a theory, honestly. If the tow bar comes off, I promise you it's going to dig into the asphalt. I don't care what the law says. The law was actually written in a way that no one follows, and the law was written that the tow bar must never contact the ground because the cables and chains are so short that they can't contact the ground. It's never done that way. So the law was written back a long, long time ago. But on these, I don't want you to ever drag these and become a problem. So I always bring them over the top area, okay? And I always wrap them around once or twice in this area here, and I know you got your little sticker there, but it's because I know that, do not let go. I know that this works. And the tow bar manufacturer says don't wrap the cables on the tow bar. You know what? I see no harm in doing this. I see all benefits because it doesn't hang down.
Yeah.
It doesn't become a problem. It's clean. Okay? Same thing on this one. Bring it out, stretch it out, and do not whack the motorhome with this because you let go of it. I know the owner, he'll get a little mad if you let go of the cable and whack his motorhome. Okay? Not hard to do. Wiring plug. That's the next thing. It's got a groove on top. That groove on top is where the lid locks in, right here. When you lift the plug, it doesn't go in right away, wiggle it around, get it to go in, and the lid locks in. Sufficient to hold it in place. I bring the cable through here somewhere, again, just to satisfy a little of my stretchiness, okay? This end over here is a little trickier. The grooves are on top because there's a groove on top of the bottom of the plug. This particular brand of manufacturer does a very high quality, Roadmaster does a very high quality design of their plugs. They silicone the inside of this one. I don't know about that one. The plugs, they don't. We silicone them, and they put a second groove on the bottom for the screw. So everybody tries to plug it in upside down because they see that groove on the bottom. Please ignore that groove on the bottom. It's for that screw that does not bother the bottom, but they put a groove in there, and the other brand, Blue Ox, does not put a groove in there. And I wish manufacturing could get together on this, because there is one pin on top and 2 pins on bottom, and trust me, it's only going to go in one way. But I'm sure people have seen that groove and try to plug it in upside down. So the most I can tell you, top, sticker, whatever, it goes in very firmly. The lid locks in behind this edge here. Not hard to do, hard to get in. Airline, and I'll get your cap in just a minute. Airline, you don't have to do anything. Let me show you how this works the same on both ends. When you go to plug them together, you don't have to do anything. You just snap them together. When you go to release them, pull the collar. Just like an air fitting, but really smooth. You just plug it in here, bring it across.
Yeah, but after the air released,
What's that?
there has to be no air pressure in here right now to do that.
There is no air pressure in there.
Right.
There
But
won't
if
be unless
if the
somebody.
engine was running, you
It doesn't
can't do
matter.
it. Oh,
It's only when you're stepping on the brake.
okay.
The only time you get air in this line is when you apply the foot brake.
Okay.
This is your chute parachute cable. Okay? This is your parachute cable. This is your emergency chute. This is designed to pull this switch out that I pulled out earlier and caused myself a cap to fly off, which is the breakaway system. The breakaway system is in case we had a dramatic failure in this area here and the tow bar failed. This is intended to pull that cable out and put the brakes on. It's the last chance of the car not to go drifting down the highway by itself.
Right.
Okay? They'll check for this in Canada, certain states. This is going to be a pain on this tow bar here.
Can you hook it to the chain thing? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I probably would, because it's going to be a pain anywhere else. That's where I do it on mine anyway.
Yeah, my fifth wheel, I dumped the trailer and forgot to pull that out.
Okay, so you're hooked up. Now, more or less, that's how I want it done every time. You take a picture of that, but that's more or less what we're looking for. It's just everything kind of neat and clean, out of the way. Nothing hanging down, nothing to catch tire treads going down the road. It works out really well.
Okay.
Put a pause for a second. I'm going to call him in the motor. I'm going to want you to take a picture.
Remember all this?
Okay, so these are your 2 plugs in your pocket. If you lost them, it just keeps dirt out of those contact points.
Okay.
Okay, so we know that we have one side that's not locked. We'll deal with that in just a minute. What we're going to do right now is we're going to operate the lights. Operate the lights in the motorhome, and you're going to see the lights on the car coming on. And someone over here is going to give me a thumbs up from the window so I can see it over there. And I'm going to go from the left blinker to the right blinker to the parking lights at nighttime to the brake lights. Okay?
Now isn't it? Now this has still got the electricity.
We
on it?
haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
We'll do that in a minute.
All right.
Now, if we want to make the car ready for tow, we can.
I'm just wondering, do you
The
test it?
confusion for lighting, yes. You will have confusion for lighting if you don't do this first. So, one of the questions that we have is, do we have to leave the key in for the steering to stay on lock? And I don't know the answer to that question. The only way to tell is to pull the key out and see if the steering locks. Based on the fact that I went all the way both ways, I'm going to say you don't have to leave the key in the car. In my car, I wouldn't leave the key in it.
Most cars.
Some cars you do. Push button cars you don't have to leave the key in. So every car is a little different. This one does not have a locking steering. I'm going to leave that just completely off. Brake is off. Please, parking brake off. If you do not put the parking brake off, you're going to catch the rear wheels on fire and you will be on the news for catching wildfires. Let me tell you, it doesn't take long. Behind a big diesel coach, you wouldn't even feel it. I don't think you would know it, other than if you towed it with and without the parking brake on, you might feel a little more resistance. But this little hop, skip, and a jump car would go down the road and melt this little back tires off and you'd be on the news. Please do not do that. In neutral, again, please do not have the car's transmission in any gear whatsoever, or you will kill your car. It will be trash. Okay, so we established you don't have a locking steering, so you don't have to leave the key in it. One of those benefits are, if you had a car where you have to leave the key in it, and you go into an unsavory neighborhood, you go to a grocery store, you go to a Walmart, wherever you're going, you walk into a grocery store, and you forget the keys in the car, and someone breaks this back window, opens your car, unhooks your tow bar, and drives off with a key in the car. So you don't have to worry about those things. You've got a cover for the tow bar. You've got little plugs that'll go back in the front holes where those tow bar tabs come out. You got keys to lock the tow bar to the motorhome, and all the instructions to everything. All the models and serial numbers are on your bill. And we don't have to leave the key in. Okay. And I'm going to roll the window up, and I'm going to go out there, and we're going to check the lights, and then we're going to lock the tow bar.
And then you put
The battery disconnect. So over here on this side, come over here. I'm going to have you sit in there and see it. It's down there below the bottom of the dash. See that little black switch?
Yeah.
It's a momentary switch, so do not hold it on. Just go down for off, and that's it.
Okay.
And up for on. You don't have to turn it back on.
Okay.
And if you had lights and things on right now, you know, it'd go ding, 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 ding or something, but it's not doing anything.
Okay. So if I forget to do that, what's the effect?
I don't know what General Motors has for a reason for disconnecting the battery. Honestly, with this little car, I don't think it would matter. But I'm not going to go on record to say that because I don't know what the meaning of why the battery has to unhook. Let me tell you what I understand. This has got a manual transmission. It's got manual brakes. It's got non-locking steering. It's got nothing going on. So as far as it having anything that would cause me concern, I don't know why the battery has to be unhooked.
Okay.
Other than the General Motors saying do it. Sometimes what it is, well, let me back up. Let me back up a little bit. We did a spark when the car first came out. First year the car came out, a guy had a motorhome diesel coach. We did a spark. And they at that time did not say the battery had to be disconnected. And as he was going around off ramps on the freeway and taking circular off ramps, the car would start to shimmy in a certain way. Because something to do with the steering control, traction control, would wake up. Because the car was fine going down the road, but all of a sudden you started to turn, it would do something, and that had to do with the battery. And it took him a long time to find out from General Motors what was going on, like a year after he bought the car. And then finally they released a bulletin saying, yes, disconnect the battery. He was upset because he bought a car where you weren't supposed to have to disconnect the battery. And he didn't want to have to disconnect the battery because he didn't want to have to memorize how to reprogram his radio stations and whatever else. But most General Motors cars nowadays have to have the battery in them. Not all. The Buick, Chevy, Equinox, some of those don't have to have the battery disconnected.
So once you put the battery back on, you reset. You have to reset
I
everything.
think you do. The words are, I think you do.
Not that we have many radio stations on the Skittle, so I think we'll live.
Okay.
It also clear airflow.
Come on out. Let me turn the wheel a little bit more. If you
We're
want.
also what?
I'm gonna turn the wheel a little bit more this way. So to re-engage that switch and to engage, that's fine. To engage that, you have to turn all the way. To engage that switch and disengage that switch, it's that simple. Just momentary down, momentary up. Up is on, down is off.
Right.
And that disengages the battery.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
You can never back up with a tow bar. Never. When you pull into that gas station and you don't pull in correctly and you're going to hit a post, you're going to get out and unhook the car, and then you're going to back up the motorhome. You're going to find that to be annoying. I'm a tower of a vehicle. I understand that. I went into a campground, the gates were closed, I had to get out and unhook. It's what you have to do. This motorhome could push this car backwards without any effort. The car's tires would just go screeching. Probably, the words are, probably nothing would happen. But the reason why these tow bars bend here, these arms bend, is because someone backed up with the tow bar. You can go 10,000 pounds down the road straight, you can bend the tow bar backing up. Okay? But I see people back up from time to time, and I'm going to say it makes me nervous. I don't want it. I don't like it because it damages components, and the instructions tell you also do not back up.
Okay. So when you are driving, there's a question in my mind: are the wheels fixed or not?
No.
They're not.
Because they got to be able to turn around corners. And this car is so small that it's going to stay within the track of the motorhome. So when you go around a corner, let's just say, let me give you an example of driving technique. When you go around a corner, you make a right-hand turn at a stoplight. You're going to go a little straight so you don't hit the old lady on the corner standing on the corner waiting to walk across the street. So that your back wheels don't go on the sidewalk and hit her. But as you turn from that axle in this corner, everything here goes this way. Okay, so as you turn, the back end comes this way. So the car and the hitch go this way and kind of go around the corner that way. So they never get close to the lady standing on the sidewalk.
So that you don't have to gauge a couple of extra feet or anything like
No,
that.
you'll see. You'll see it. Well, you look in the mirrors, you'll see you won't have any issues. The corner you got to worry about is the car sitting here next to you at the stoplight. That this corner is going to swing into his front end. That's the one that worries me. The car will probably stay within this platform. But this corner of the motorhome is where you hit the telephone poles, where you hit the stop signs, those kinds of things, because you turn and you pitch that back in one way or the other. The same
That's
thing
the
is
same with
the same with or without the car.
you got it.
Okay.
Now, let me explain one more thing though. When you are next to a curb and you've got a high curb and you're next to the curb, do not try to pitch the motorhome out really hard, because the tail end of the motorhome is going to swing that way over the curb. The hitch is going to go that way. And this little car's wheels on that side are going to jump up on the curb. And you're going to make a mess of your car. And you're going to do it right away when you turn real hard away from a curb. If you gradually descend away from a curb, you'll never have a problem. It's the hard kicking out action where this corner tries to hit the telephone pole and the car is going to go up on the sidewalk or run the wheels against the curb and shatter your hubcaps and make a mess out of it.
Okay.
Don't do that. Watch for those things. Because everything's going to follow this direction of the hitch or this direction of the hitch a little bit. As you go a tight right, if you don't hit the car here, the car will come around the corner of the hitch. Okay? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go operate the lights. And when I get a thumbs up from you on everything, I'm going to pull the motorhome forward about a foot. You're going to see this side lock.
Okay.
You're going to give me another thumbs up. And I'm going to
Okay.
stop.
So you're going to do the thumbs up. I'm going to video.
Okay.
Okay.
When you turn the lights on at night, they're going to be hard to see, but they're down in this area here. We put bulbs and sockets, extra bulbs in here. We did not put diodes. Okay?
Well, with the sun, I hope it's clear, but you could hear him.
You're gonna transcribe that whole thing.
I'm going to upload it to YouTube. There's lights on both sides. Oh, is that one on? I don't see it. Okay. You sure? Oh, I see it now. Okay. Now he's going to pull up. Happened so quick. So I gotta remember how to take all this shit off.
Oh, it's like the other thing.
So you saw how that effect works.
Yep.
The wheels will straighten out on their own.
Now, do you have any secret to line up the car or anything like
Okay.
that?
When you go to hook up each time, unlike unhooking you can be at any angles you want to unhook. The most important thing you got to remember though is when you walk from that motorhome to this car, you hop inside this car and you minimally put it in gear, put the brake on, whatever you need to do. If you pull these pins on this car and the car rolls into your neighbor's yard, you guys are going to be friends for a long time. So it can kill somebody. Please.
So
be very
before you
careful.
unhook, you
Make the
make sure
car
you
circle.
put the car back in
Brake,
gear and the brake. So
Yeah.
take it out of neutral, put the brakes on.
You got it. Now we need a little bit of room for this to move and stuff to move. So let me say just a little bit first. If it was my car and my motorhome combination like you currently have right now, I would hop in the car, I'd have my key with me, I would turn the battery on, and wait a second for everything to boot up. Okay, what I mean by that is, don't just turn the key on right when you get the battery back on. Give it about 10 seconds or so for the car to wake up. Okay? Then go ahead and start the car and rack the steering back and forth. Use the power steering. And what that's going to do is going to free all this stuff up. Okay? Because right now, this pin is hard to turn because I forced the car to go a certain way. The car wants to go straight down the road behind the motorhome. It does not want to go left or go right. It wants to follow the motorhome. So by me forcing it to go this way, I put tension on this tow bar arm. Can you hear the key again? Let me just show you an example of what I'm talking about. I would walk from the motorhome to the car. Don't worry about all that stuff right now. Hop in the car, and as I get in, I can just reach down here and turn the battery on.
Okay.
Reach down there, turn the battery on. Again, just a click. The car is going to wake up. You might get a display, you got the odometer came on. Certain things that are automatically when you open the door, the car wakes up. Put the clutch in, start the car. Still in neutral. Walk up on me. Sorry. That angle for me. That sucks getting old. turn the wheels. And what you're doing is you're relieving all those chest points out there on the front. Okay, when you do that, it's going to make it easier for you to unhook. And then put the car, brake on, or do it, whatever you're going to do to unhook. You'll see now that all those pins are going to be fairly loose. You can probably turn them. So you're going to see that you couldn't turn them a minute ago, and now you can. And if you can't, push the handles down. You know, do whatever you need to do. But that's, brake is off, car is off,
Battery's off.
switch is off.
Okay, so now we're back into the towing mode.
Yep. But do that, and you'll see that it'll make your life easy to unhook.
Okay.
One of the other things too is, if you try to unhook on a hill like this, you're uphill, for whatever reason. You chose to, or you had to unhook on a hill. You got to drive the car forward a little bit. And you know how much you're going to go? About that much. And that's all the play and all the components. You're going to move about that much. It's going to stop. You can't go any further. Now, if you have your wife or husband with you, she can hop in and drive it forward, or he can hop in and drive it forward. I don't care. And push the handles down. And you push the handles down, the car will go forward as much as a foot. And all you need is a couple of inches. And if you go forward a little bit, I guarantee you the pins are no longer a part of the picture. Okay? So,
Okay, is it ever an option to release by pulling this?
you can do whatever the hell you want. But I don't
just-
know. That's probably going to have more tension than anything.
All right.
So, usually the pin is the easiest.
Okay.
But usually the power steering's your friend. Again, remember your car, you pull the pins, your car rolls down the hill, down the mountain, you're done. Your car, you can't chase it fast enough. Let it go. But just be careful. The only time you're ever going to have a problem is you got in a hurry. Somebody said, oh God, I've never seen that color blue in this motorhome. Where'd you get that? And then you go out here, you say, oh, this, yeah, we did this and got this tow bar and did this and started pulling pins, and the car rolls away. One of you's got a big problem.
Okay, so the most important thing to do is,
Make sure the
before you
car's safe.
unhook, do your little thing, put the battery back, turn the car on,
Use the
get
power
the
steering to
brake,
loosen everything up.
loosen everything up, and
And you don't
literally
have to
get
be
the car
straight.
back.
When you go to hook up, you asked me earlier, when you go to hook up, drive the car forward and learn this 3-foot dimension. The last guy I said, learn this 3-foot dimension. He goes, is that exactly 3 feet? I said, no, don't quote me on that. Approximately 3 feet. You need to learn, you have about a foot of telescopic ability here. So just learn the car has to be somewhere in this area here, whatever that means. Learn it. Put the brake on, leave it running. Hold the tow bar down and pin both or move the car. It's that
Okay.
simple. Once you pin them, back the car up and lock one or both handles. And you're probably going to see one handle is going to be short, one's going to be a little off.
And that's all fine until you're ready to tow. Then you can turn everything off.
You got it. And then hook all this stuff. Get it before you get out of the car. Just turn everything off and get out and look and see which side's not, a lot longer. Then turn the wheel that way. If you're lucky, you'll lock them both at the same time. But if they're almost locked, you can't always tell. This handle might be transitioning downward. That means it didn't lock, but it's almost locking. That might be the side that's definitely not locked. Well, I guarantee when you back up, one side is going to lock. And that holds the car at bay, even if you're downhill. I'll lock the car, hook up the cabling, check and see which side's not locked, turn the wheel that side, make the car towable. No
Okay,
brake, no transmission,
so-
no key.
So when you're in the motorhome,
What's that?
is there something in the motorhome that warns you that you just lost your car, or is
No,
that
there's a red light on the dash
Okay.
that comes on every time you step on the brake.
okay?
So every time he steps on the brake in here, and he goes on there, when he gets in the motor, he'll hook it in. Every time you step on the brake, the pedal's going to go down, the red light comes on. It does it because I saw it in there. a minute
Right.
ago. That's that same red light that was in the dash.
But if you lost the car, the red light's still going to go on.
It will for a second until the wiring plug yanks out. But here's the thing: you lose the car.
There's a camera.
There's
a
safety
camera.
cables. I mean, I don't know what
He
level.
didn't tell you that
I'm not
his.
gonna tell you,
but
'cause I don't
listen,
know how it works.
listen.
I just don't
His
have an
dad
answer for
towed a boat from Chicago to California, and he lost it on the
I
road.
don't want to know about these things. I already told him. Don't tell me these stories.
Tongue just broke on it.
Yeah, see, that's exactly it. That's the
He
time
did. He was like, "Oh my God, I lost the boat."
You know what? And I've only heard of one guy losing his car. And here's what happened. He was coming out of the mountains in Colorado. And he got away from the speed of the coach. He did not pay attention. He did not use an exhaust brake. He did not use the transmission. I don't know if it was an automatic gas coach or what it was. But he let speed get ahead of him. And he was towing a pretty good sized car, and he did not have brakes on the car. And there wasn't a damn thing he could do. And so it just kept going faster and faster and faster going down the hill. And no matter what he was trying to do, he couldn't slow down. And the car started weaving in the back. And eventually all this stuff, and probably because we're talking about a 30-year-old story, was probably not nearly as good an engineered as it is now. And it just tore off somewhere, and the car went in the ditch. And then the motorhome went in the ditch. And he killed his dog, and he broke his hip. But he survived.
I feel sorry for the dog.
Yeah, but he survived.
Bob,
Yep. Yep. But you don't need any locks down here. You need to be able to access those pins in a hurry if someone tells you you need to unhook. Like as you pulled in the gas station wrong. Go around the block if you can't get into that gas station. Make sure there's not a delivery truck. Make sure you can pull everything in and make sure you know where your fueling station is.
this guy's gonna hit us. All right, so I'm gonna turn this off.